Well, hey, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to The Simple Truth, this special news update. This is part two as it pertains to the Second Amendment rights and how little by little those rights are eroding away. And we are finding ourselves in a place that many of us do not want to be. I have an article here from Infowars.com. The article is dated yesterday, Tuesday, July 17th. And the article is titled Outrage After News Channel Helps Publicly Identify Gun Owners. News station WRAL has caused outrage amongst gun rights activists by listing address details of firearms owners in Raleigh, North Carolina, prompting critics to complain they are being treated like sex offenders and left open to criminal perdition. In an article about firearms training, a WRAL.com article homes in on the fact that rural areas have a much higher per capita rate of concealed carry permit holders. The story also mentions efforts to increase regulation on concealed carry permit holders and quotes Gail Neely, executive director of North Carolinians Against Gun Violence, who claims that concealed weapons permit holders aren't as law-abiding as they are reputed to be. Now, before I get into that, isn't there an extensive background check prior to a person being able to even take the class of a concealed carry weapons permit? However, the part that really has Second Amendment proponents up in arms is a searchable box that allows the public to identify where concealed carry permit owners live by typing in the street name, city, county, and zip code. Although concealed carry permit holders cannot be identified down to their precise address, in many rural areas, there are just a handful of homes on one street, and sometimes just one or two, leaving gun owners open to criminal perdition. As concerned resident David Knight told us via email, although street numbers are not shown yet, as they point out, most of the carry permits are in rural areas. On my road, for example, there are only 4 home sites. On many rural roads, there are only 1 or 2 houses. This information has previously only been available by written request from the State Bureau of Investigation. Indeed, when activist group Grassroots North Carolina, GRNC, complained to WRAL, the news station responded by erroneously claiming the data was publicly available, when in fact it can only be obtained via an application to the SBL. Knight says the news station's act of helping the public identify gun owners is an attempt to name and shame, while suggesting the Second Amendment advocates pose a potential threat akin to sex offenders. GRNC's F. Paul Vallone wrote an email to WRAL demanding that the search function be removed and that WRAL issue a public apology to gun owners in North Carolina, noting that the group had received dozens of complaints focused around concern that the search box would potentially expose concealed handgun permit holders to criminal perdition. The group has threatened to use its database of 60,000 gun owners to target WRAL's advertisers for a boycott unless the search feature was removed. In a follow up conversation, WRAL General Manager Steve Hamill admitted that street numbers had initially appeared for some records before they were removed, but the station refused to withdraw the search function. GRNC responded by providing contact information for numerous people at WRAL as part of an email campaign to boycott the station's sponsors until the offending item is deep-sixed. This is by no means the first time that news media organizations or government bodies have attempted to shame gun owners by listing their private details for public inspection. A similar controversy ensued last year when Illinois' Attorney General ordered law enforcement to make a list of 1.3 million gun owners available to the media. The New York Times also obtained a list of gun owners in New York City 2 weeks beforehand. Ladies and gentlemen, the simple truth of the matter is that the American public, the law-abiding citizens of the American public, are under attack for wanting to exercise their rights, whether it be through the First Amendment, through the Second Amendment, and so forth. The question I have to ask you is, when does it stop? Or how far will this go? That's something for you to think about and for you to ponder. But I want to thank you for joining me for this episode of The Simple Truth. And as I always tell you, the simple things are oftentimes the most profound, but yet they're the most difficult to put into practice and to actually do. I want to thank you for joining me, and I'll be back real soon.